Welcome to the Bont Infinity plate assembly video. You will need a 4mm drill for drilling the holes in the boot. Make sure you remove the inner soles before you begin. If you have Bont boots, they will have the center lines pre-marked. If you have another brand of boot, you may need to use calipers to find the center of the boot and mark a line. Find the widest part of the boot at the ball of the foot and make a mark. Then do the same at the heel of the boot and make a mark. These two lines will be our reference for mounting the plate. The great thing about the Infinity plate is that you can see through the middle of it, which makes lining it up extremely easy. Position the plate on the boot in the location that you would like to mount it. Generally, most skaters will want to position the front axle over the ball of the foot or slightly in front of the ball, as you always have the option of sliding the trucks backwards. Once the plate is positioned correctly, mark one of the rear mounting holes using a punch or pen. Drill a hole through the rear mark that you made on the boot and insert the screw from inside the boot. Put the plate back on the boot, loosely tighten one nut and double check the alignment of the forward mounting holes. Now mark the other 3 mounting points. Drill the remaining 3 holes, reinsert the 2 metal studs, and attach the plate. The carbon plate has now been mounted and we are ready to attach the sliders. Make sure the internal tooth washer is inserted and insert the steel Allen bolt or you will kick yourself later. When installing the kingpin, make sure you have 5 threads showing so that you have enough room for the cushions. Make sure you tighten the kingpin. Install the washer cup and the bottom barrel cushion. This one looks like a barrel. Time to install the truck. The most important thing to note is that the truck also has an internal locking nut, so make sure that it is installed. This washer has teeth on it that grab onto the bottom surface of the truck. This is really important because you don't want the pivot pins moving or sliding while you are skating. Slide the top cone cushion on and make sure it is nice and snug. The grub screw is what you are going to lock down your adjuster nut with, but it is a good idea to keep it in the kingpin. There's no need to fully remove it as the adjuster nut will fit over it. Install the top washer cup and you will notice that we still have a good 3 to 4 threads showing for adjustment. Tighten the adjuster nut down to your preferred tightness. We don't want it so loose that everything rattles or so tight that the cushions can't move. Once you have your preferred tightness, tighten down the grub screw to lock it in place. It doesn't have to be too tight, just nice and snug. You will notice that I have set up the plate so that the axle is just forward of the ball of the foot. That's the cool thing with this plate is that I can move the axle anywhere I want. There is a reference line on the side of the slider that lines up with the marks on the carbon, so you can play around with the sliders and use the lines as a reference. The rear slider is assembled in exactly the same way as the front slider. The final thing we want to make sure of is the adjustment of the pivot pin locking nuts. We don't want to have them completely loose, as you will notice that there is a lot of play in there, and that's not good as it puts torque on the kingpin. We want to make sure that they are snug and that they just touch the bottom so that there is no more movement. If they are too tight, they will push the truck out, and that's not what we want as it will put too much pressure on the cushions. So make sure that they are nice and snug so that there is no movement, and we will use the locking screw to hold it in place. Make sure it doesn't move, and we will do the same thing to the front. It should be snug, and then lock it in place. The last thing to do is to attach our toe stoppers. The Infinity toe stopper has a triangle shape, and you want to make sure that the wider part is towards the front. Turn the stopper until the thickest part is at the front because that is the part that will be taking the load when you are running. The pointy part goes to the back to maximize wheel clearance. Once you have lined it up, you can tighten the toe stopper locking nut to lock it in place. Reinsert the inner sole, and you are ready to go skating.